Chapter 231. He seemed desperate to declare, "You are such a pest," but the oath prevented him from doing so. The fact that he didn't want to acknowledge their acquaintance was evident in his awkward phrasing. Either clenched his jaw inwardly at the strange dialogue. "So be it. Well, Kyol complied with my request during the second general manifestation, so I can fulfill this small wish of his too." Even if Kyol, the person he was dealing with, had hardly met his expectations, he had to admit he was grateful. Scanning over Kyol and the other knights, Yidhir responded in a low, even tone. "What do you think we came here for? You should know why we are here, yet you ask? I find it hard to guess why." "What don't you understand? What are you talking about?" As Kyol raised his eyebrows, the knights standing behind him raised their voices all at once. "There is no need to listen, Sir Diarca. Sir Diarca may not know because he arrived late, but they have been making unreasonable demands from before training started." "That's right. Despite the time for using the training grounds having passed, they insisted on entering. You should stop listening." That's when Yidhir realized Kyol must have arrived at the training grounds later than the other knights, hence he didn't know the details of what happened. The entrance was at both ends, so if he had come up from the opposite side, he wouldn't have encountered the cavalry members on this side. "Our team dropped something during training here. We said we will leave as soon as we found it, but you wouldn't listen. How is that unreasonable?" "Nonsense. Clearly, it's an excuse to interrupt our training." It was a childish and malicious interpretation, doubting its own credibility. Yidhir turned his head towards the knight who had yelled at him. "Unlike you, Sir Knight, we are very busy people. Would over 10 of us, including the deputy commander and commander's assistant, be here digging in the ground for no reason?" "What?" The knight, who asked in confusion, soon grew furious, as if he were about to breathe fire. You insignificant wretch! What are you saying? Are you implying I have nothing to do?" "I didn't say that." "Cursed fool! Draw your sword now." "Quiet!" Kyol raised his hand to calm the enraged knight. His deep, coal-black eyes skeptically scanned Yidhir's face. "So, you came here just for an item?" "As I have mentioned." What conclusion would Kyol Diarca draw? Whether he believed or not, Yidhir's task wouldn't change. But seeing the man's furrowed face and hesitation, he realized that the man had indeed changed since their first meeting. If it were the past, he wouldn't have listened to a word and would have attacked immediately. He had thought the man had no ability to learn, but it seemed even he accumulated experience. "Sir Diarca, why are you hesitating? Are you thinking of listening to this guy?" As Kyol's moment of hesitation lengthened, the knights on his side became restless. "Sir Diarca, you must know these guys are—" "Enough with the chatter. It's too loud." Kyol finally exploded due to the knights who didn't allow him time to think, raising his voice sharply. "You think I have been thinking, don't you? Because I have been quiet recently, you must think it's amusing. I am the highest ranking here, yet looking at your attitudes, it's like you are the superiors. Is my decision making really that detestable?" No, not at all." In truth, the knights had begun to take Kyol, who had been quiet of late, lightly. They became instantly anxious at his words and clammed their mouths shut. Kyol, too, with an insider's instinct, quickly realized their momentary prick of conscience. He glared at the knights, grinding his teeth, then turned his head towards Yidhir. "You." "Yes?" "I will give you 5 minutes. find whatever it is within that time. Sir Diarca. The knights opened their mouths in surprise, but Keol's fury did not abate. Training will temporarily halt. Everyone will gather around and commence basic training drill number 16, from beginning to end. Move now. The knights' lips twitched, as if they wanted to protest. However, nobody wanted to make an enemy of the Diarca family, so they did not dare voice their objections. In the end, they had to gather their comrades and perform the hardest physical exercise routine that could be done on the spot, known as basic training drill number 16. I did not anticipate things would turn out this way. Well, let's observe for now. Watching the pitiful sight of the knights who had once looked down upon the cavalry straining so much their faces turned bright red, Yudhir turned away as the members approached him. Yudhir, did you find the item? That's the thing. We found it, but one of the members replied with a peculiar expression on his face. Well, it's a bit. What? Is there a problem? Well, it's in pretty bad shape. Bad shape? How bad? Upon Yudhir's inquiry, Fiona, the owner of the item, came forward, showing a pouch she was holding. This is it. Found it near the entrance of the opposite side, where I have never been. The leather pouch resting in Fiona's hand was in shambles, as if it had been slashed with a sword. Fortunately, the bow pattern had not broken, but it was severely scratched and dust covered, as if someone had deliberately stomped on it. To anyone who looked, it was an act committed with malicious intent to insult. The warmth faded from Yudhir's eyes as Tiber's expression darkened. Who would do such a thing? All the commoner stuff is the same. Why act so shocked? At that moment, the knights, who had finally finished their basic training routine, had risen from their spots, jeering loudly as if they wanted everyone to hear. Now that you have found your precious item, stop dirtying the Imperial Knights' training ground with your filthy feet and get out. Fiona moved her shoulders roughly as if trying to suppress a sob. The eyes of the cavalry members filled with a sharp light. Huh, glaring at us? What are you going to do about it? After all, you're just a bunch of nobodies. There wasn't a single person present who didn't know that the term nobodies was a derogatory nickname referring to Kishir, the leader of the cavalry. Some of the knights gave disapproving glances to the one who had uttered those words, but he showed no signs of remorse. Well, I guess it's not surprising, considering this is the same man who disrespected Kishir himself. Yudhir took a deep breath, closed his eyes, and then opened them again. Keol involuntarily swallowed a gulp as he faced Yudhir's darkened gaze. He had seen Yudhir wear such an expression several times before. Each of those times had ended with a not so pleasant outcome for him. Keol Diarca. What is it? I'm going to personally find out who tampered with our members' item starting now. If you want to stop me, come out now. Keol had joined the training late, so he wasn't involved in this incident. Despite his wounded pride, he had allowed the members time to find their item, so he was willing to give him a chance. If you step back, I won't lay a hand on you, but if you come forward, you will have to remember the consequences. How dared the arrogant brat disrespect Sir Diarca? Sir Diarca, do not forgive him. However, Keol did not point his sword at either as the knights had hoped. Although his face expressed immense anger at the insulting speech, he turned his body slowly after a long silence and stepped back. Sir Diarca, I can't be bothered to intervene in matters that have nothing to do with me. I won't deal with this personally. Although his words sound arrogant, They were clearly an act. The memory of Yudhir easily rendering several men helpless with a single button at the harvest festival was vividly stirring in his eyes. He did not want to experience that again. The man in front of him from the cavalry was the most powerful and ferocious monster Kiol had ever met in his life. Yudhir removed his gaze from Kiol, who had made the wisest decision of his life, and looked at the remaining knights. The rest, 23 of them. He handed Kishir's clothes, which he had been wearing on his arm until now, to one of the members next to him. Sorry, but can you take care of this outfit for a while? Huh? Oh yeah, sure. Stay back where you won't be affected. What's he saying, that arrogant brat? I guess he's finally feeling scared. Yudhir confidently stood in front of the knights mocking him. He had his sword on his belt, but he had no intention of drawing it. It seems you're ready to shed tears for your comrades, but from the beginning, you and us were never in a position to duel. Oh, one of the knights who was sneering suddenly slipped and hit the back of his head on the ground. His last memory was a flash of light in front of him before he passed out without a sound. That's correct. There is no need for me to duel with you guys. Yudhir, who had easily knocked out the knight by manipulating the ground under his feet, quietly replied to the astonished knights. Because there is no need to draw my sword against those who are far inferior to me. You arrogant. Ah! The knight, who had eagerly drawn his sword, screamed in surprise as Yudhir's gesture made his sword swing forward uncontrollably. Kiol, who was watching from afar with his arms crossed, furrowed his brows, feeling a sense of deja vu. You call yourself a knight, but you can't even handle a sword properly. You damn brat. The knight, angered by Yudhir's nonchalant voice, grabbed his sword and charged again, only to stumble awkwardly forward due to the ground and sword not moving as he intended. Strangely, the ground where his face had hit suddenly became soft, and he had to flail around, trying to get up, his face buried in the dirt. What? What is this? Ah! Quite a brave display indeed. The knight, his face covered in dirt, spat out the earth that had entered his mouth, his face turning crimson as he hurled abuse. You bastard! Die! However, moments later, he shrieked in terror as he saw his sword, which he had hoisted up to strike down with full force, warping and twisting as if it was soft clay. Ah, my sword! The knight, who had thrown away his beloved sword, took several steps back as he looked at Yudhir with eyes full of terror. Overwhelmed by humiliation, disgrace, and fear, he turned and sprinted, only to slip again, hit his forehead on the ground, and lose consciousness. I will make sure they fall in the most humiliating manner in front of everyone, because that's what hurts them the most. His power had appeared much stronger than usual. There was no pain in the back of his hand. On the contrary, he felt an overwhelming sense that he could do anything, even if he only tried a little. It was somewhat difficult to control. Randon, you monster, we won't let you get away with this. A few knights charged at Yudhir simultaneously, crying out the names of the fallen knight. They seemed to think that there would be a chance if there were many of them. However, the skills of these mere knights, who hadn't even produced a piece of aura yet, were only pitiful.